record. And welcome everyone to our team call tonight. Before I introduce our guest, I just want to make sure that everybody saw our specials that have been released for next month. Also, mute yourself if you I'll mute up everyone. Okay. So yeah, I posted the specials. It's basically 21-day fix, 21-day fix extreme again, and 22-minute hardcore. And as you may know, 22-minute hardcore is already 140, but the difference is they throw in the, what is it, the sandbag and the containers, which it doesn't normally come with. So that's cool. And then somebody remind me, what is the prize for hitting Success Club? It's like a Shakeology container and some sample packets or something like that. 3 sample packets. Okay, so that'll be cool. I mean, the container might be cool, so we'll have to see what it looks like. So definitely worth, hitting Success Club 5. And we also have Remember Country Heat coming out in July. So that'll come out at the beginning of Summit, July 20 something. So start promoting that with your friends and stuff like that. I posted some coaches that were in the test group, some of their results already, and you can see that just in 30 days they have some pretty amazing results. And hopefully you guys have already tested out the sneak peek. Obviously the country dance isn't for everyone, but the dance market in America, right, with Zumba and other dances is pretty huge. So, definitely let's all take advantage of that and promote the heck out of it, because we all probably have friends and customers who are interested. So anyway, to get to our speaker, tonight we have Morgan Jorde, and she is a member of our team. She is a lifetime diamond coach. I think you've been a coach for at least a year, right? Maybe you'll have to give some more statistics, yeah. But she's in the DC area here with me. I've met her several times, and she is an awesome person. And I know that she has dealt with doing Facebook ads for her clients as her profession, as a real daytime job. And I asked her to come speak to us about how we can learn from her experience to utilize Facebook ads in our coaching business. So I know we all have a lot of questions. She's going to go over some of the basics, but I wanted her to go more into the advanced stuff. So if you need more help on basics, I'm sure there's some videos or stuff that we can point you to. So Morgan, if you want to take it away, go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So just a little bit more about me. I've actually been actively coaching since January of 2015. Adam got us signed up a little bit before that, but we were in the process of planning a wedding. So I didn't want to start coaching until after we got that out of the way. So I've been a coach for about 18 months now. Like Greg said, I'm a lifetime diamond coach, and Adam and I actually run the business together, which is pretty unique, it seems like, for a lot of Beachbody coaches. Most of them run them a bit separately. And like Greg said, I'm a digital marketing specialist by day. I've been doing that for about 2 years now. So every day to day, I deal with about 25 to 30 different clients across the country and in the UK. So I've learned a lot about different markets and different types of restaurants in terms of what you can do with Facebook advertising. So hopefully what I have to share is helpful. So just going to quickly cover a little bit about the basics. Like Greg said, there's a lot of videos that you can find either published by Facebook or by just pretty much anyone about how to get started with Facebook advertising. So if you have more questions about that, I would just point you directly to YouTube or the Facebook business help section. Their information there is really pretty incredible. So getting started, the first thing you need to do is set up a business page. The only way that you can run ads without a business page is for a clicks to website ad. So definitely start by setting up a business page. And then you'll need to create a Facebook ad account and connect a credit card to that. So that way you can pay for the ads that you're running. Choose the type of Facebook ad that you want to do. For us as coaches, the main ones we'll be focusing on will be driving traffic to a website. That'll either be your website or your blog, a challenge group application form, coaching application form, things like that. Page likes to increase the number of fans on your Facebook business page. Event responses to get people to join either your free events, your coaching sneak peeks, your challenge group sneak peeks, whatever it may be. Page post engagement, also known as boosted posts, and then video views. That one is a little bit newer. And then the next thing you want to be doing is designing your image or your graphic. So what you can do here is create your own, either in Photoshop or PicMonkey, or also Facebook does have a library of free stock images that you can use, and that would work well for maybe something in regards to a free group. But definitely, as you've probably heard plenty of times, we always recommend that you use you and your face. There are thousands of Beachbody coaches out there. So what you're selling in terms of marketing on Facebook is not what Beachbody offers. It's what you as their coach have to offer. So show your face, show your personality. Definitely put that into the design of your image and your graphics. And then the next thing to do is drafting your copy. And I know this is something that a lot of people struggle with, so definitely take your time. Send it around to your upline or your success partner, have your spouse or your friend read it for you. The copy is something that makes a huge impact. I mean, the image and the graphic is what grabs the user's attention, but the copy is what gets them to make an action. So definitely take time here. I know it can be painstaking, but it'll definitely pay off. And then I skipped a bullet point. The next part is choosing your placement. So this is meaning where you want your ad to be showing up on Facebook. And that can be in the news feed, the right-hand column, on mobile, and now actually on Instagram too. The Instagram placement is only available for page post engagement and video views and clicks to website ads. And for Instagram placement, you can run them either through your Instagram account if you have one, but if you don't have one or you don't want to create one, you can actually run them through your Facebook business page too. That's just something that you set up in the business manager. You just have to make that selection. And again, if you don't know how to do that, definitely do a quick Google search. I'm sure you'll be able to find it out. And then the last thing is targeting your audience. And that's going to be a big focus of this call because I know it's something that we all struggle with, and we don't really ever know where to go. It feels like we can't quite get this nailed down. So targeting your audience is most definitely the most important part of Facebook advertising. So this is choosing the audience that'll see your ads. And then as you do this, keep testing it, trying different options, and find that sweet spot. Okay, and one more quick thing about the basics. When you're designing your graphic, we used to have to keep in mind that there was a 20% text rule, which meant that you could pretty much only have a few words in your graphic or your ad would not be approved. And just recently, in the past 3 to 4 weeks, the 20% text rule has actually been lifted. So you can run ads with more than 20% text now, and Facebook determines the reach of your ad based on the amount of text. So obviously, they're still trying to incentivize you to keep that text at a very, very minimum. Otherwise, your reach is going to be affected. But if you do need to put a little bit more text in there, you can do it, and your ad will be approved unless you have an extreme amount of text. So there's 4 different levels: okay, low, medium, and high. And I'll make sure to post a little bit more information about where you can find more info on this after the call, so you don't have to go searching for it. But here's a quick screen share of what those ads would look like. Don't worry too much about reading the copy here, but just take a look at the 4 images and you can see what Facebook is trying to get at in terms of their 4 levels of how much text that you can have on there. That the 2 on the left-hand side, the okay and the low, those are more like fitting within the 20% text rules. And then the 2 on the right-hand side, the medium and high, definitely have a lot more text. And you can see as a consumer that those might not be the things that you want to click on. And the high level is where it gets to a point that Facebook may actually not approve that ad. So just keep that in mind as you're creating your graphics now. Okay, so going into more about the targeting and getting to know your potential customers. Like I said, this is the most important part of Facebook ads. So before you craft any ads, or if you really want to revamp your Facebook advertising strategy, I would say take some time to either write this out or think about it, depending on what you're trying to get at. Who would be your perfect coach? If you could pick your ideal coach, it doesn't have to be someone you know. Just start listing characteristics about that person. And same goes for your perfect customer. Who would just be that rock star challenger in your challenge group that you would be absolutely honored to have join you? And those are the things that you need to take some time to think about, and that'll start helping you narrow down your audience and figure out who you're actually going to be targeting. Writing down characteristics about if they're, if this person is married, are they male or female? How old are they? And you can do an age range for that. Do they have children? Do they like to cook? Do they like to be outdoors? Do they like to ride horses? Do they like to travel? Start thinking about characteristics in terms of demographics, but also what their interests and behaviors are. So once you start to do this, you can start with the actual targeting in Facebook Ads Manager. So there's a few options for the targeting. The first one being location. And this is something that can be a little bit tough with Beachbody because obviously we're not limited by location in any way. This is a very mobile business. We all work, primarily off of our laptops and our cell phones. So we really don't need to target a location unless you're running some type of physical event related to your business, like a fit club. But I would just suggest keeping that at the United States. One caveat to that is that there's a little drop down above the location option, and it'll give you 3 options there. And I would choose the one that says people who live here, because although this probably won't make a huge difference, there are people from abroad who are traveling to the United States and they just left in the past week. They may, for some reason, get your ads because that's an option, people who are recently in the United States. So just make sure to check that out and pick people who live in the United States. The next section is demographics. So this is an age range, gender, relationship status, education level. And these, you don't have to choose something for all of these, but I would say that it's definitely something to think about. An age range, if you're looking for a coach who really relates to you, or, to me, for example, I don't think that I'm going to be targeting people who are 18 to 65 plus, like Facebook defaults to. I'm probably going to be looking at a sweet spot of, a college graduate, so someone who's 22 years old to probably 28 and female. That's where I always start with my ads, particularly because those are the people who I can relate most to. I don't have any children, so I'm not going to be targeting moms. I like to try and target women who are engaged or married because that's something that I can relate to. And then going into the interests and behaviors, and this is where things start to get a little bit tough, but we're going to talk a little bit more about how to figure out these types of things that relate to you. So the detailed targeting, the interests are, Facebook figures these out based on posts that people share on their timelines, apps that they use, and pages that they like. So interest is based on Facebook data. Not that this matters too much, but it's interesting to think about it this way. And behaviors is based on activities done off of Facebook. So this is information from third-party companies. There's actually 3 in particular that know so much about your purchase behaviors, your travel preferences, your device usage, what kind of car you have. So that gives you a little bit more leeway, the interests and the behaviors. And then the last option is advanced targeting. So this isn't something that we necessarily use all of the time, but it's definitely good to know that this is an option. So custom audiences is primarily for people who have a database of email addresses. So that can be from an opt-in if you have an email newsletter that people can join either through a Facebook ad that you've been running, or they can join it directly from your website. You will definitely have a database of email addresses, so you can add those people to a custom audience. You can also have a database of email addresses from a challenger or coach form. that's a way that Adam and I have gained a lot of email addresses in the past, is we have people fill out a quick form to tell us a little bit more about their goals and their lifestyle before they join our challenge group or become a coach with us. So we have these email addresses that we can just quickly export, and we could choose to add those to a custom audience. Okay, and then moving on to the lookalike audiences, this is something that's pretty cool. That if you have a Facebook business page of a certain size, you can actually create a lookalike audience. And really, you don't have to do anything. Facebook does it for you. So basically what happens is Facebook generates a lookalike audience to the people who like your page. They look at all of these different demographics, interests, and behaviors, and they figure out, okay, who are other people in the United States that would fit this criteria, that would maybe be interested in this page? And they create this lookalike audience. It takes probably, I think, 15 to 20 minutes for them to do that quick search and create this audience for you. So this is something that is definitely worth looking into. And after that lookalike audience is created, you can actually target it further based on interest as well. Okay, so I know this is the big question, is what interest do I choose? That's something that's always hard. I find myself just, I used to just enter in a bunch of random things like red wine and Sephora, and, I really like cooking and I like traveling, and it was just this mess of information that may or may not be targeting someone who would, be interested in joining my team or joining my challenge group. So I don't think it was super effective. So if you're stuck, you have to start by figuring out what your interests are on Facebook. And I have a little hack for you guys that makes that super simple. Okay, so what you need to do after this call is find a sponsored post in your timeline. And then, I'm sure you'll see plenty of them. So get to that point and click that little right arrow right next to the like page that you can see on this picture. And then scroll down to why am I seeing this? And once you click that why am I seeing this, another window will pop up, and Facebook will give you more information on what targeting options this company or this person used to get this ad to show up in your newsfeed. So this company, for example, is a premium active lifestyle clothing company made with sustainable materials. And the reason that I was targeted for this ad is this popped up after I clicked why am I seeing this? This Piranha wants to reach people who are interested in Lululemon based on activities such as liking pages or clicking ads. So I definitely enjoy Lululemon. I buy my workout shorts from there pretty exclusively. So I either like them on Facebook, or I have clicked on ads that Lululemon has put in my timeline, and thus this company Piranha is targeting me. And then another reason that they might be targeting me is they're trying to reach people who are ages 18 and older who live in the United States. So that's pretty broad, but then they added that interest in Lululemon to pare it down a little bit more and get this ad in front of me. So here's a couple other examples of ads that targeted me. This company called Headbands by Vero Brava. They wanted to reach people interested in headband, and also women 20 plus who live or recently were in the United States. Think Thin, they're that kind of protein bar company. They want to reach people interested in fitness. To be honest, I have no idea what that is, but apparently I fit that criteria. And also women who are 20 to 44 who live in the United States. Another example is She Fit Apparel. They want to reach people who are interested in Tony Horton, and also women who are 20 to 64 who live in the US. And then the last one, this is an actual Beachbody coach who showed up in my timeline yesterday. Her name is Megan Blinka. She wants to reach people who are interested in Sagi Kalev, and also women ages 25 to 40 who live in the United States. So after you take a little bit of time to find these sponsored ads, it's pretty interesting to see how specific these targeting can get. And it'll help you learn a little bit more about you and basically what you're doing on Facebook, and how you can target people who are just like you, because we all know that that's the best, the best coaches and the best challengers come from people who interact with us the same way that we would like to interact with them. And, we just want to mesh and we want to have fun together. So figuring out some of these targeting options based on yourself will really help you target people that are going to enjoy you. Okay, so how to narrow down your targeting, because with Beachbody, because we're not location based, our reach can end up in the many, many millions. I think we've had reaches before that have been around 7.5 to 8.5 million people, which is far too big for us to see any real results. You might get some likes on that boosted post, but it probably isn't going to actually turn into anything. So my suggestion would be to try and get it down to 500,000 to 1 million Facebook users for your potential reach. And this will be something that is shown while you're creating your ad off in the right-hand side. Facebook will give you an estimate of your potential reach. So one way to start narrowing it down is by using Facebook's flex targeting to narrow down your reach. So this flex targeting allows you to include and exclude interests and behaviors from your targeting. So I don't know if you guys have seen this. So it's called detailed targeting in Facebook's ad manager. You can browse through different options, or you can start typing for what you're looking for. So I'm going to walk you through a quick scenario of something that I started doing earlier. I didn't actually set up this ad, but just wanted to come up with a great example for you guys to think about. So I started by setting the basic parameters in the targeting. So like I said, I targeted women ages 22 to 28 years old who live in the United States. And then I went down to this detailed targeting section in this photo. And then in the first box, I put that they are married or engaged. So that was 2 options there. And Facebook says they have to match at least one of the following. So married or engaged. I went to the next box and I typed in travel, found people who have an interest in travel. So that Facebook is basically saying these people need to be married or engaged and have an interest in travel. And then I clicked into the next box, which here looks like exclude, but actually below the exclude box, there's a little link that says narrow further, and it'll give you another and must also match at least one of the following boxes. So then I also added, I wanted to target people who like cooking. I also added another box for people who like wine. And then lastly, I excluded those people who are interested in fast food, because I personally don't eat any fast food anymore. So I went through all of these things. These are going to be women who are 22 to 28. They're married or engaged. They like to travel. They love to cook, and they like to drink wine, but they don't like fast food. And so by doing this with the entire United States, I came up with a target market of 730,000 Facebook users, which is perfectly in that 500 to 1 million users range. I haven't run an ad with this group yet, so we'll definitely see how that goes. But this is an example on how you can use Facebook's flex targeting to take a few different interests and behaviors and then come up with a target market. I think something that I've been guilty of in the past before I learned a lot more about Facebook ads is just entering them all into one of these boxes. So basically what that is doing is giving Facebook an or option. So like I said, for the first box, I entered married or engaged. So it pulled in 2 different demographics, and they don't have to match both because they can't really match both. But if you entered in travel, cooking, and wine all in one of these boxes together rather than in separate boxes, Facebook is seeing, okay, we need to find someone who is interested in travel or interested in cooking or interested in wine, whereas I wanted that woman to match all 3 of those characteristics. I want them to like to travel, like to cook, and like to drink wine rather than, one of the 3.
Hey, Morgan, can I interject something?
Absolutely.
Just a tip that I do is in the exclude, I will always exclude, I'll look up Team Beachbody, and I'll exclude like anybody who likes Team Beachbody coach connections or Team Beachbody pages or things like that, because most of those are going to be coaches or people who already have a coach. So that's just something that I do as a tip.
Yeah, that's great. Especially that Team Beachbody Coach 411 page. Anyone who likes that Facebook page is going to be a coach or has been a coach in the past. Okay. All right, so another thing that you'll hear a lot with Facebook ads is called A/B testing. And this is something that sounds a bit daunting. It's really fairly simple, but can make a big impact in learning about how your Facebook ads are performing. So what A/B testing is it helps you determine which ad headlines, body copy, images, calls to action, or a combination of any of those work the best to reach your target audience that we established in the prior steps. It also helps you maximize ROI, which means you're saving money. You're not just wasting money on ads that aren't generating anything for you. You might get some Facebook page likes or some likes on a post, but you're not actually getting anything. So we all want to save a little money. And then the last one is learning more about your target market so you can actually continue to create graphics and ads that speak to them. Okay, so how to do an A/B test? I would suggest by changing one factor first. The way I think about A/B testing is a little bit like when I was doing a science project, like a hypothesis, that you were only allowed to change one thing. So that's where I would start. Change one factor at a time for a successful test. So you can change your image, or you can change your title, or you can change your details, or your body copy, or your targeting. But start with just changing one thing, and then you can continue to do A/B testing after you start to pare those down. So if you want to start with one photo that has you outside in nature, you're a little bit farther back in the photo, but you have a great call to action about help wanted, people who love to travel or something like that, that could be your first image. And then your second image could be something more of you spending time with your family. It's close up. They can see your faces of you and your kids and your husband smiling and talking about how you want to spend more time traveling with your family. So you're really only changing the image. You're not changing anything else, and just seeing what people react to more and what they react to better. Are they actually clicking through on that ad or just scrolling right past it? So start by doing that, and then if you want to play around with the titles, figure out which of those two images worked better, and then you can do more A/B testing on the titles. One thing that you need to make sure to do is let these ads run for a little bit. You really need to give it, I would say a week or two, maybe probably a week at the minimum, to let this ad run before you can really start to see which one is performing best. Facebook has their weird algorithm that it may shoot up right at the beginning for one of the ads, but then it'll level out throughout the week. So definitely give it a little bit of time to let these ads run before you shut one off and go with the other. And definitely think about the success more than just what Facebook is showing you in the ads breakdown. So that can be determined by how many new page likes you received, how many coach or challenger applications were filled out if this was a clicks to website ad, how many challenge packs you sold. Maybe this was a post saying, free giveaway. I'm giving away a Fixate cookbook today and tomorrow only for those people who purchase 21-day fix challenge packs. If you sell 5 challenge packs from one ad and none from another, because you get just tons of comments on one of those boosted posts, that's a really good indicator that that post worked really well, and whatever that photo was and whatever that wording was spoke to your audience. And also, how many conversations were started. If you post a boosted post talking about your story and you get a bunch of people commenting, or they private message you and they give you, some great feedback on your story and how it really touched them, that may mean more in terms of success of the ad than what Facebook is showing you in terms of clicks or page likes or engagements. So just keep that in mind. And definitely Facebook's information about the breakdown is important, but think about it more in terms of the relationships that you are building. Okay, that's much quicker than I expected to go through this. So like Greg said, we have plenty of time for questions. So I can stop sharing my screen.
Morgan, maybe it might be helpful if you have a few minutes that you can just walk everybody through a live example.
I actually have it open right now.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick boosted post ad. So this is how it looks when you get into Ads Manager. It basically breaks it down into 3 different options based on awareness, consideration, and conversion. And then I usually am doing these ones over here on the awareness side, most often boosting posts. Sometimes I'll do promote your page. Occasionally I will raise attendance at your event. I don't find those to be the best in terms of ROI, or maybe I need to do a little bit more A/B testing on that to figure that out. But let's do a boost your post for an example. Choosing your page, and I'll just choose this post from this morning. Okay, so this is that little drop-down box that I was talking about, people who live in this location, because you don't want to be targeting people who are just traveling in the US and maybe live in Australia or something like that, who can't join your team at this point in time. So keep this at the United States, change this age range to 22 to 28, like I had said, and then select women. Obviously, if you're a man, you may want to just select men, but for me, I'm going to do this example as if I was creating this for myself. So the detailed targeting, I always pick married and engaged. It's just something I feel like I can relate to, and it just helps me narrow down my audience. I don't need to do that. I can definitely relate to people who aren't married and engaged, but it just helps me start to narrow that audience down. And then this is what I was talking about in terms of the detailed targeting. So there's these two links right here: narrow audience, which gives you more of these and statements, or exclude people, which says, I don't want people who, like the Team Beachbody Coach 411 page. So they must match at least one of the following. So you can type like I just did on the last example, or you can use these little drop-down buttons to click through to find someone who, is a college grad, or someone who lives in this household composition is kind of interesting. I'm just a few years out of college, so I have a lot of friends who live in housemate-based households. That probably wouldn't fit with the engaged and married, but if I took that part off, the housemate-based households might work great. You can figure out new parents, working women, this might be something perfect for me to do because I am still working a day job and also working my coaching business after work. Okay, so I'm going to click narrow further one more time, and I'm going to add in travel, because that is something that I love, love, love to do, and would love to find people who enjoy that as well. And then exclude people. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm at a pretty good reach of 670,000 people, but let's just try and pop in here that Team Beachbody Coach 411 page. We'll see if it comes up. Nope. Let's find something else.
It's the Coach Connections. Or
that's what it is.
You can see it right there. Or the Coach Summit. I just pick them all.
Cool. I have never actually done this because...
And you can even see that at the bottom where it says independent Beachbody coach, you can see people who have selected that as their profession. So that one's a good one to exclude as well.
Let's see if it will come up again. It was just there. There we go. Job titles. Yeah, a lot of people do that. Okay, so that took out another, I think, 60,000 people. And if I wanted to, I could have narrowed that further. But I think that's a pretty great section to be at. Here are these placements that I was discussing. I actually haven't done Instagram ads for my Beachbody business yet, but I do this for my clients, my restaurant clients during my day job all the time. You can do all of these options. If you, after running some ads, find that one is working better than the others, you can always go in and edit and take off the desktop right column or the desktop newsfeed, because you find that everyone interacting with your ad is doing it from mobile.
Hey Morgan, I typically take off the right column because I find myself ignoring everything on the right side because I know it's an ad, and
exactly.
Most people probably do that. And I also take off Instagram, and now it's because I personally don't use Instagram, but a question for you is I've heard that when a Facebook ad shows up on Instagram, that, like if you're doing a type of call to action, like join my challenge group or whatever, that people can't actually comment on it because they're in Instagram. They just see it and they can like it. Is that true?
I think they can comment. The one problem with that is the clicks to website. They can't actually click it. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen it before, that if there's a link in some Instagram posts, you can't click it, which is why a lot of people on Instagram, the big influencers, will say the link is in my bio, because that allows it to be clickable. So I personally haven't run them on Instagram either. And I just learned something pretty interesting at work this week or last week, that if an ad is performing better on Instagram, Facebook will favor that ad within the same ad set over the ones performing on Facebook. So you might get tons of people who double tap and like that photo on Instagram, but nothing comes of it, and you still spent the same amount of money. And that's just how Facebook's algorithm works. They see something taking off and doing super well, so they push more of your budget towards the Instagram ad versus Facebook. So I think it's definitely something to worth playing around with, or you can create an ad that's just on Instagram and then ads that are just on Facebook too. Okay, and then I'll just kind of quickly run through the rest of this daily budget. I personally like to do a lifetime budget. It's just something that with my day job I've learned to do. So I usually only do anywhere from $5 to $10. Sometimes I'll do a little bit more. Facebook does require a minimum of $1 per day. So you just need to adjust this timeline. So let's say I just want to run this through Saturday. So Facebook will spend a maximum of $5, and however they want to spend that per day, they do that. And then I leave all of these things as automatic impressions. Facebook has a good algorithm, so I don't really get into this. This is pretty advanced, but you definitely can play around with determining what you get charged and ad scheduling if you want to run them only during the week versus on the weekends. That's something that you can do here too, and just select and drag the times that you want them to show. But I'd say if you're just getting started out, don't touch any of that bottom part. Facebook has that all figured out for you, and then you don't have to worry about it at all. So let's take off Instagram, and then you guys can see on this right-hand side this estimated daily reach. Don't get freaked out if that seems really small. I think the main thing to pay attention to is the potential reach, and then just trust that Facebook has everything figured out. And then this is the last page before you place your order. So this is just showing, again, the timeline photo that I selected. If I, for some reason, picked the wrong one, I can scroll through my recent posts on our fitness page and choose them. But I want this one from this morning because we're talking about how we're traveling back home to Minnesota and we had another awesome workout. So this would be where I would just quickly click review, make sure that everything's correct in my targeting, which is nice that you can take one more last look at it, and then place the order. Alrighty. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and then we can ask some more questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Morgan. That was great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure people will have lots of questions, so you can take yourself off mute.
I have a question. Do you have any tips for ad copy? Like what to write in our ads that work, that aren't too like salesy?
Yeah, I didn't have time to do some serious research on what ad copy works. And I think that's the hard part about it, is that you really just have to try and see what works. I don't follow too many of other Beachbody coaches on Facebook, but I do follow a few that I find to really connect with. I look forward to seeing their posts, and those are the couple that I follow. And I try and just look at what they're doing. And you may not know if they're boosting their posts or not, but just looking at the way that they're doing their calls to action, I try and do a little bit of almost breadcrumbing, just saying a little bit throughout the week about whatever your call to action is going to be. If it's going to be a challenge group post, talking throughout the week about how easy your meal plan is to follow and how simple it is to fit it in if you're still working full-time or with a family and things like that. And then once you get to that post, you can say, hey, I've been telling you all about this all week, and then boost that. It's something that is almost hard to give too much advice on because it varies so much per person, but definitely, yeah, I wouldn't, in terms of not being salesy, wouldn't put anything. I personally don't do much about like, it's on sale this month. Like I see some people who will say 21 Day Fix is on sale, last day to take advantage, and they'll boost that. That's not my personal style. I try and take a little bit more of a subtle approach, and maybe I don't make a bunch of sales right off the bat, but that's not necessarily it's my goal, but I don't want to do it at risk of kind of coming off in that way. So I see what you mean. I'm here as a resource. If you ever want to like bounce ideas off of me and say, hey, this is what I put together for ad copy, what do you think? I think if I had an example, I'd be more than willing to give you a little bit feedback.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
So what are some best practices that you found with your 30 clients that actually attract people?
So my clients are location based. They're all restaurants. So that's been one learning curve with my day job versus Beachbody. Best practices are they all spend at the very minimum $30 per month. So that means they can have an ad running for the entirety of the month, or they can boost 3 posts throughout the month. So they all have a pretty substantial ad budget. I have some clients who have up to $200 per month, which obviously isn't something that we can all do. So I would say just making sure to continually put money towards Facebook advertising. If this is something you want to dabble in, I think doing it every single month would be worthwhile, whether that's $5 every month or $10 every month. Playing around with it and continuing to boost things out there. And once you figure out that target market, you're going to be hitting some of the same people again and again, which is our goal, is that it takes X number of touches to hit people. Other best practices are as great of photos as you can use as possible. Like you want them to be scroll stopping, but you also want them to be representative of you and as professional as you can get them to be. I don't have any professional headshots or anything like that, but I definitely try and use photos that have great lighting and aren't blurry in any way. So getting something that represents you is definitely key. My clients who do not have very nice photos of their food, their ads just don't do as well. And as many times as I tell them to get better photos, they don't do it. So there's a really big difference in that. Social media is all visual. All we want to see is the best and the prettiest things. So taking some time to learn PicMonkey or whatever that may be to get them to look good, I think is definitely a best practice. I'm trying to think.
Could you talk about looking at the Facebook analytics? Like what do you look at to determine if the ad is doing well? Like what should your cost per click be or cost per engagement?
Yeah. So it's tough. So for my clients versus what I do with Beachbody, it's different because Beachbody is not location based. I can get lower cost per engagement than I can for my clients who are location based. So I would say I try and get my cost per engagement below 10 cents or below 15 cents, which is, I don't find it to be incredibly difficult because it's still pretty broad range. I was just looking back at some of the ads that I've run recently, and that was about in that range. Like I said, with the event responses, I've had a little bit of trouble getting those down in terms of ROI. Event responses, I've struggled to get them below $1. So
let's say somebody is getting 50 cents an engagement, after 2 days. What would you suggest that they do?
Well, the first thing would be after 2 days, I would wait a little bit longer. I would give it a few days for sure, because it can either take off right away and be super, super low, or it can take a few days to catch up. So I usually give it about 4 to 5 days before really changing anything or shutting it off. I rarely shut off ads, but sometimes I do. then I would go in and play with the targeting. So there's not like a perfect example of what you can flick on and off that'll get that ad cost down, but playing around with the targeting to either make it more specific or a little bit more broad will definitely help with that. I think playing with the flex targeting is going to be something that'll really help, but yeah, it's all just a little bit of like manipulating it. And there's not a perfect answer for how to get that lower, but playing with the targeting is something that I do for Beachbody and for my clients, that I'll add in, more location. If you want to be targeting people nearby you for some reason, you can add a little bit more radius, or adding in just a couple more interests or behaviors would be something that would help with just pulling in different people, because maybe your targeting is exactly what everyone else is targeting at that time, whether it's bikinis or summer travel or something like that. It might just not be working at that time.
Yeah, that's what I do too. I'll create multiple. You can create multiple ad sets inside of one campaign, and you can change, text or whatever, or target, or other features, and then you can see which ad set is doing the best, and you can turn off other ad sets. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do.
I saw Jessica asked about page likes. I would say I don't run page likes for my Beachbody like fitness page often. It's just not something that I do, but I can tell you for my clients, what we try and stick to is we try and get them for sure under 50 cents per page like, but definitely where we prefer to be is more like 25 to 30 cents per page like, but those are location based. So I've heard some Beachbody coaches in the past with YouTube videos I watched that can get them as low as like a couple cents, like 5 cents a page like. So I don't know if you're not getting them for less than $1 or something like that, or if that seems more, it's just good to know that that's a good place to be, or what. But okay, I see Susie asked, is there a day of the week or time of the day that works better for boosting a post? I find evenings work best, and that's just something that has worked well for me. And I think it's because being at the age that I am, and the people who like my Facebook page are usually, they're working full time. None of them are really stay-at-home moms, whereas some of the moms who are Beachbody coaches will say that hitting those nap times are good times for boosted posts, or just doing posts in general. I like to post things in the evening and then add budget behind it. And I also like to do weekdays more so than weekends, unless I do a Sunday evening. I find that me personally, I don't really use, I don't scroll my timeline just mindlessly as much on the weekends as I will, during the evenings when I'm just sitting on the couch, not really doing anything. So that's what I have found, is evenings and during the week, or Sunday night. But Saturdays and Sunday day don't seem to work as well for me, or Friday night. I've posted a couple boosted posts for my free challenges on Friday night before, and learned that lesson real quick.
Okay, anyone else?
Hey, Morgan.
Hey.
Thank you for your tips. I have a question. I guess I do well when I do my ads on Facebook, but I get like 40 to 50 people liking my page, and I interact with them.
Mm-hmm.
As far as saying, thank you, and like I send them a message individually, but I don't get anything in return as far as them wanting to go into my challenge or what. Now, what can I do to get them engaged after they like my page? Or are they just liking because they're going through their newsfeed?
Yeah, I think that's tough. My first question for you is, when you're sending those messages, are most of the people responding, or are they not responding?
Most of them. I'll say out of, let's say 48, I'll probably get 3 to, respond. But then after that, it's just dead silent.
Okay, well, I would, first of all, I wouldn't beat yourself up too hard about that, because Facebook did an update, gosh, what was it? I think 6 months ago, where they deleted, they changed the way that you receive message requests from people you're not friends with, which would include a Facebook page. So, I'm sure you guys have heard about that other folder. A lot of people don't even know that exists. So they probably are not getting your messages all the time. So that's one thing that I find challenging too, even for people who are in my free groups. I try and send them messages from my personal Facebook account, and they won't get them. So I'll have to I'm sorry. My messages on my computer are going crazy. And how do I shut this off? Can you mute that conversation? I'm sorry. I have a group text with my coworkers, and they just go crazy sometimes, and that's what they're doing right now. So pardon me. But getting them to engage beyond that, I would say if they do respond, I wouldn't jump right into, asking them too much about a challenge group. I always try and build a relationship as best as I can. And based on what they say back to you, I would suggest crafting some posts for that week, kind of playing off of what they're telling you. Okay. If they're saying their biggest struggle is time management, then let's create a killer post about how meal prep has definitely helped you, that it takes a little bit of time up front, but then the rest of the week, that you are totally set and you don't have to worry at all about hitting your goals, because you did your meal prep and you're going to be hitting your goals, but also still have time to spend with your family, or whatever those little nuggets are that they're telling you. It's a little bit of that jab, jab, right hook strategy of whatever they're telling you. Post about it on your Facebook page, because right after they like your Facebook page, you're going to be showing up in their news feed more often. Okay. And that's something that happens with Facebook's algorithm, that when you like something, they show it for a while. I'm sure you guys have realized that when you become friends with someone new, it's like your entire Facebook timeline is them for a couple days or for a day, and it'll be things from like a week prior. So the same thing will happen with your personal Facebook business page. So continuing to stay on top of those posts, and if you do get them to respond to your conversation, kind of pushing in some of those nuggets that they told you about would be what I would do. And like I said, don't beat yourself up too much if they don't respond, because it's just the way Facebook is. It's not anything against you. And then just trying to keep in mind that they did like your page and they are going to be seeing your posts. So if you get a big surge in posts from doing a page likes ad, make sure to have some killer posts on there that people are really going to love to see.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do see that I get probably like within 3 weeks after they like my page, or after I send them a message, they come back, private message me saying, oh, I didn't notice this and that, but, and they respond to it, but it's always like a dead tone. But I just keep them in mind now, send them, hey, how you doing? Just like you said, connect with them and, get to know them better before
There's a way that you can just target your Facebook fans too. That's actually one of the more cost-effective ways to target Facebook ads, is just to your fans. I do a lot of times my Facebook fans and their friends. But if you're finding that you're getting a lot of new people liking your page, whether it's because of a page likes ad you're running or whatever it may be, but let's say you have a free event opening up, or you have a challenge group opening up and you're planning to boost a post, maybe start with that as like your control for your A/B testing, or just start with that, just targeting your Facebook fans. Because if you have a recent surge in it, it's going to be a cost-effective way for you to do it. And then they're also going to be getting more information about your page. So that's just something that for people starting off with Facebook ads, if you have, it works definitely better when you have a few thousand likes, but I'm not even there. So if you have a couple hundred likes, that might be a place to start with just a small budget as a cost-effective way to reach the people who have liked your page.
Yeah, that's what I do. Every time I run an ad, I'll do 2 ad sets, and one will go to the people who like my page and their friends for a small amount, and then the other one will go to my targeted market.
Yeah, that's definitely a great idea.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you had any experience with video ads? Because I know Facebook is prioritizing videos now.
Yeah, I personally haven't done them. Videos are something that I like to get perfect, so it takes me forever to put a video together, but I know I need to do it, and you're exactly right. Facebook favors video ads and videos in general so heavily. This has been the past year. My entire Facebook news feed is videos, and it gets a little bit annoying. So, I mean, I haven't personally done much with it, but I know I just ran a Facebook video ad for a client that is doing extremely well, better than my photo ads do, because they're more engaging, and they get you to like stop scrolling. Like, I can scroll past a million pictures, but when something starts moving, it just automatically catches your eye. I actually saw, oh gosh, I can't remember what coach it was. It was one of, some great Beachbody coach who put together a video, but it was more like a collage of photos that moved throughout a video, and it didn't have sound to it, or didn't have like talking or anything on it, but it totally caught my attention. It was pretty cool that it was almost like a slideshow, but it was a video ad that just got you to stop scrolling, because it was doing the same thing as our photo ads do, but in video form. It was really cool. But I would highly recommend it. It's something I haven't yet ventured into, and I know I need to.
Cool.
I had that on my newsfeed several times. It's a slideshow / video from Facebook. You create your own little pictures you want to put together, and it'll just go into like a slideshow.
Oh, cool.
I haven't done it yet. So
yeah, right. But it's there. We know it's there. Yeah.
Okay, well, it looks like we're out of time, and most people have got their questions. So if anybody thinks of more questions, feel free to post them in our Engage group and tag Morgan, and I'm sure she'll get back to us. The best way to learn is to try it. So hopefully you all have a like page. If you don't, it takes you 5 minutes to create a like page. Make a post and just, it'll cost you $5 or whatever, create a $5 ad and just play with it. And then if you have questions, you can, post them in our group. All right. Well, thank you very much, Morgan. It was great. I learned several things. I love the part about, I didn't know I could figure out why I was getting targeted for ads.
I know.
That's awesome.
That's great. I think it's a great place to start. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so I appreciate it. So thanks, guys, for attending the call. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We have Julie Boris, who is going to be on our next call. She is a 15-star diamond coach, 4-time elite coach, master trainer. So you will definitely want to be here for that call as well. All right. See you.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Morgan. Good night.